Welcome to Real Crime Story, where we delve into the darkest corners of human nature. I'm your host, Alex, and tonight we're exploring a chilling tale of betrayal, obsession, and justice long delayed. Settle in for the next 40 minutes as we unravel the twisted case of the Willow Creek Murders. Our story begins in the quaint town of Willow Creek, nestled in the rolling hills of Northern California. It's 2005, and the community is about to be rocked by a series of events that will haunt them for years to come. Meet Sarah Thompson, a vibrant 28-year-old elementary school teacher with a heart of gold and a smile that could light up a room. With her flowing chestnut hair and warm brown eyes, Sarah was beloved by her students and colleagues alike. She had a passion for helping troubled youth and often volunteered at the local community center. Little did Sarah know that her kindness would ultimately lead her down a dark and dangerous path. On a crisp autumn morning in October 2005, Sarah's neighbor, elderly Mrs. Jenkins, notices something amiss. Sarah's car is still in the driveway, and the morning paper remains untouched. Concerned, Mrs. Jenkins knocks on Sarah's door, but there's no answer. As worry gnaws at her, she decides to call the police. Officer Mark Reynolds arrives at the scene, his instincts immediately on high alert. As he enters Sarah's home, the eerie silence is broken only by the ticking of a grandfather clock in the hallway. He makes his way through the house, calling out Sarah's name, but receives no response. It's when Officer Reynolds reaches the bedroom that the true horror of the situation becomes apparent. Sarah lies motionless on the bed, her lifeless eyes staring at the ceiling. The room bears signs of a struggle, a shattered lamp, overturned furniture, and most chillingly, a message scrawled in what appears to be blood on the mirror. You should have listened. The peaceful town of Willow Creek is shaken to its core. As news of Sarah's murder spreads, fear and suspicion take root. Who could have committed such a heinous act against someone so universally loved? Detective Lisa Chen, a seasoned investigator with piercing black eyes and a no-nonsense attitude, is assigned to the case. As she begins to dig into Sarah's life, she uncovers a web of relationships more complex than anyone could have imagined. Chen's investigation leads her to Jason Roberts, Sarah's ex-boyfriend. A charming software engineer with a quick wit and boyish good looks, Jason seems devastated by Sarah's death. He claims they had remained friends after their breakup 6 months ago, and he has a solid alibi for the night of the murder. He was at a work conference in San Francisco. But as Chen delves deeper, she discovers a series of threatening emails sent from an anonymous account to Sarah in the weeks leading up to her death. The emails speak of betrayal and promised retribution. Could Jason's affable demeanor be hiding a darker side? The investigation takes a turn when Chen uncovers a connection between Sarah and a local businessman, Michael Dawson. Dawson, a silver-haired man in his 50s with a commanding presence, runs a successful real estate company in Willow Creek. It turns out that Sarah had been secretly meeting with Dawson in the months before her death. As Chen follows this lead, she begins to suspect that Sarah might have stumbled upon something sinister in Dawson's business dealings. Perhaps she was silenced to keep a dark secret from coming to light. The case seems to be building against Dawson. Anonymous tips flood the police hotline, pointing to his involvement in shady land deals and possible connections to organized crime. Chen and her team pour countless hours into building a case against him. In a dramatic press conference, the police announce that they're closing in on the killer. Dawson is brought in for questioning, his face plastered across every local news channel. The town breathes a collective sigh of relief, believing that justice for Sarah is at hand. But then, in a stunning turn of events, Dawson's alibi checks out. Security footage places him at a charity gala in Sacramento on the night of the murder. The case against him crumbles, and Chen is back to square one. As months turn into years, the case grows cold. Sarah's family and the community of Willow Creek begin to lose hope that her killer will ever be brought to justice. Chen, however, refuses to give up. She revisits the evidence time and time again, convinced that she's missing something crucial. It's now 2010, 5 long years since Sarah's murder. Chen, now working in the cold case unit, receives an unexpected break. A young woman named Emily Parker comes forward with information about the case. Emily, a petite blonde with haunted blue eyes, tells a chilling story. She had been a student at the high school where Sarah volunteered. Sarah had helped Emily escape an abusive relationship with an older man, a man Emily now identifies as Thomas Gray, the janitor at the community center where Sarah volunteered. This new lead reignites the investigation. Chen and her team dive into Gray's background and discover a history of violence and obsessive behavior. They learn that Gray had been fired from his job at the community center just days before Sarah's murder, after Sarah had reported concerns about his behavior towards some of the young girls. As they build a profile of Thomas Gray, a disturbing picture emerges. Gray, now in his early 40s, had a troubled childhood marked by abuse and abandonment. He had developed an unhealthy fixation on Sarah, viewing her as a savior figure. When Sarah rejected his advances and reported his behavior, Gray's fragile psyche shattered. The team obtains a warrant to search Gray's home. Hidden in a false bottom of his closet, they find a shrine dedicated to Sarah, photographs, stolen personal items, and most damning of all, a journal detailing his obsession and his plan for retribution. Gray, realizing the net is closing in, goes on the run. For weeks, he manages to evade capture, taunting the police with cryptic messages left at various locations around Willow Creek. The town is gripped by fear once again, with many wondering if Gray will strike again before he can be apprehended. In a heart-stopping climax, Gray is finally cornered at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. After a tense standoff, during which Gray threatens to take his own life, Chen manages to talk him down. In a moment of vulnerability, Gray breaks down, confessing to Sarah's murder and expressing remorse for his actions. As Gray is led away in handcuffs, Chen feels a mix of relief and sadness. Justice has finally been served, but the cost has been immeasurably high. In the trial that follows, the full extent of Gray's obsession and the details of his crime come to light. The court hears how Gray had stalked Sarah for months, growing increasingly unhinged as she rebuffed his advances. On the night of the murder, he had broken into her home, confronting her with his delusional beliefs. When Sarah tried to calm him down and offered to get him help, Gray flew into a rage, believing she was rejecting him once again. The prosecution paints a picture of a deeply troubled individual whose mental illness and past trauma had warped into a dangerous obsession. Gray's defense team argues for leniency based on his mental state, but the evidence of premeditation is overwhelming. After a 3-week trial, the jury finds Thomas Gray guilty of first-degree murder. The judge, taking into account the brutality of the crime and Gray's potential for future danger, sentences him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As our story comes to a close, we're left to reflect on the tragic events that unfolded in Willow Creek. Sarah Thompson's life was cut short by a twisted obsession, leaving a void in the hearts of all who knew her. The long road to justice tested the resolve of Detective Chen and the entire community, but in the end, the truth came to light. The case of the Willow Creek Murders serves as a stark reminder of the hidden dangers that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most idyllic communities. It highlights the importance of addressing mental health issues and the potential consequences of ignoring warning signs. For the residents of Willow Creek, life will never be quite the same, but as they move forward, they carry with them the memory of Sarah Thompson, not as a victim, but as a caring teacher and friend whose kindness touched countless lives. And for Detective Lisa Chen, the case remains a defining moment in her career. It taught her the value of persistence, the importance of leaving no stone unturned, and the power of never giving up on the search for truth. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling exploration of true crime. If you found this story as captivating as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.